Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, car prices could go up substantially here in the U.S. with new tariffs announced against imported vehicles and car parts. Plus, today marks the anniversary of the Goliad Massacre, a tragic event that fueled the fight for Texas independence. Details on how it will be honored this weekend. Plus, federal transportation safety officials testify to a Senate subcommittee on preliminary findings in a deadly mid-air collision near D.C.'s Reagan National Airport earlier this year.
We've had over 4 inches of rain in the crossroads already, and more storms are expected tonight, so the flooding problem continues to be high. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And bartenders in a popular Texas nightlife area are getting trained to save lives with hands-on Narcan training for opioid overdoses. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. We had a break from the rain this afternoon, but it should be starting up again. It's much needed rain here for the crossroads, but also a lot at one time. Let's go to meteorologist Mac Perez with a first look at our forecast. Mac, is flooding still something that we need to be concerned about overnight?
Absolutely. In fact, tonight will be a very critical night because we had the 4-inch rain pretty much all over the area. And now with additional heavy rainfall, we're going to go to quick stream, low water crossings, even the freeways, the streets may be flooded. Now here's the city, as you can see right about there. And what we're talking about is down south. The valley has had really heavy rain, right along the immediate Rio Grande right there, with the biggest stuff now exiting actually off the coast. But what we're looking at is over here. You see it right there? That one is going to be drifting through the area overnight and into tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning being Friday morning, boy, it's going to be tough. And you got to be very cautious in the county roads because the heavy rain overnight may cause that flooding problem. So yes, we need the rain. It is a blessing. It's just coming a little bit too fast. We'll be watching it and talking about it coming up a little bit later on. Back to you.
For our viewer poll today, we're asking how your experience has been with the rain so far. Have you had some flooding, some rain damage, or are you enjoying it so far? Go to crossroadstoday.com to let us know, and 94% of voters say they are enjoying it. Absolutely needed the rain for sure. But continue voting and we'll have the latest numbers on 25 News now at 6. The first rabies-positive skunk has been confirmed in southern Victoria County. Animal Services picked up the skunk Monday near a home on Burkhart Road, and testing confirmed it was rabies positive. No human or pet exposures have been reported. This is the first confirmed case ever in this area of Victoria County. Officials urge residents to keep pets' rabies shots up to date and report any unusual wildlife behavior to Victoria County Animal Services. Bartenders in Fort Worth's 7th Street District are getting life-saving training. A group of them took part in hands-on Narcan training, so they'll know exactly what to do in case of an opioid overdose. It's all part of a new effort to make sure people working in the nightlife scene are equipped with the right tools to step in as the first line of defense. Several bartenders and managers met for hands-on training on how to respond to an opioid overdose. One owner says his bartenders are good at spotting potentially dangerous situations and can now add an opioid overdose to that list.
When we talk about Narcan is that in the event that something like that does happen, that they are able to respond to that emergency and they know how to spot it, identify it, and then also if we can help treat it on the spot before medical help arrives, and that's always best.
The training is happening just as Governor Greg Abbott introduces a statewide Narcan locator map. It pinpoints exactly where to find the life-saving medicine. The stock market taking a hit today after President Trump announced more tariff plans, this time against all imported cars and auto parts. Workers in the auto industry reacting today, some already voicing concern. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Cars could soon become more expensive here in the U.S. with President Trump announcing 25% tariffs on all imported vehicles and auto parts.
Well, it's quite a punch to the gut.
George Glassman, who runs a car dealership in Southfield, Michigan, worries the impact will be astronomical.
And the manufacturers, it's going to cost them more money, and there's no way that I foresee them not passing those costs on to me and ultimately to the consumer.
The White House saying the tariffs will apply to any foreign-made vehicle beginning April 3rd and any foreign-made auto part beginning about a month later. It's unclear how they'll be implemented, but right now, new cars are averaging nearly $50,000. Moody's Analytics estimates that we could see prices rise anywhere from $6,000 to nearly $9,000 per vehicle by this time next year.
We have 150 years of economic theory that really show clearly that tariffs are dumb.
United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain calling the tariffs a step in the right direction, calling on automakers to bring jobs back to the U.S. Nearly half of all cars bought in the U.S. are made in other countries. The Trump administration saying this will help American automobile production in the U.S. in the long term.
We're going to make sure that American workers are put first, and we're ending the unfair trade practices that have been hollowing out our middle class for decades.
Mexico's president didn't say how she'll respond, but that something will be coming April 3rd. Japan's prime minister also telling lawmakers there that they must explore all possible responses.
Trump has also threatened to impose large-scale tariffs on the European Union and Canada if they work together to retaliate against his new tariffs. Both countries essentially saying that they will do what's best for their consumers. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said he will move to force an overtime session of the legislature if lawmakers fail to ban THC or tighten Texas's bail laws, two of his top priorities, before the current session ends in early June. To read the full Texas Tribune article, go to crossroadstoday.com. January's deadly crash between an American Airlines jet and Army Black Hawk helicopter that killed 67 people just outside Reagan National Airport in D.C. was preventable. That from Senator Ted Cruz, who chairs the Senate subcommittee hearing testimony from the heads of the Federal Aviation Administration, the National Transportation Safety Board, and Army Aviation today. While the final crash report isn't expected out for several more months, as Laura Aguirre reports, there were a number of key safety gaps unveiled during today's hearing.
One stunning number from the Federal Aviation Administration: there were more than 15,000 close proximity events between a helicopter and a commercial airliner near Reagan National Airport, or DCA, between October 2021 and December of last year, just weeks before the fatal midair collision in January. And of those,
there were 85 incidents where the lateral separation between a commercial jet and a helicopter was less than 1,500 feet, and the vertical separation was less than 200 feet.
Leading committee members to ask, how did the FAA not identify these risks sooner?
There's millions of pieces of data that come in.
When pressed on how they will handle it going forward,
we're using machine learning and language modeling to scan incident reports to find themes and areas of concern.
Another key focus, the Blackhawks operation. And was it flying with a critical identifying system known by the acronym ADSB out, turned off, which is, the Army says, permitted with certain types of flights.
75% of the flights are mission rehearsal readiness flights. Are those operated with ADSB out?
They are, Senator, yes.
So right now, today, the Army is flying helicopters in and around DCA Airport with ADSB out, turned off. Is that correct?
And that is correct.
I have to say I find that shocking.
It's one of many policies sure to be examined much more closely in the months ahead by the Senate committee and the federal aviation agencies.
We leave no stone unturned, and we let the evidence guide us.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Another troubling finding from the FAA during today's hearing: collision warnings in commercial planes landing earlier this month at DCA were caused by the testing of an anti-drone system by both the U.S. Navy and Secret Service. Several flight crews reported the mystery alerts on their traffic collision avoidance system, known as TCAS, indicating another aircraft was nearby when no other aircraft were in the area. The FAA said in a statement at that time. Now, apparently the Navy was using the same spectrum band as TCAS, causing the interference and faulty resolution advisories. Senator Ted Cruz said to the FAA during the hearing, despite previous warnings to both agencies to not use that specific spectrum band, the FAA confirmed that was the case, to which Senator Cruz replied, quote, "That is deeply disturbing." Additionally, the FAA says that since the fatal accident, it is implemented an operational change recommended by the NTSB, which is to eliminate mixed helicopter and fixed-wing air traffic around DCA. PSA Airlines flight attendants are hitting the picket lines, pushing for better pay after contract talks fell through. They were out protesting Wednesday in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and D.C. A union rep says they make about 45% less than American Airlines attendants, despite PSA being a subsidiary of American. Their pay is locked in around $24,000 for the first 3 years, and negotiations, which started in 2023, are set to resume next week. Today marks the anniversary of the Goliad Massacre, a tragic chapter in Texas history. On March 27, 1836, Colonel James Fannin and over 400 Texan prisoners of war were executed by Mexican forces during the Texas Revolution. Seen as traitors, not soldiers, by Santa Anna, their deaths became a powerful rallying cry for Texas independence. This somber moment in history serves as a reminder of the courage and sacrifices made in the fight for freedom. A reenactment of the Goliad Massacre and other events are planned for this weekend at the Presidio La Bahia in Goliad. For the full schedule, go to crossroadstoday.com. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. A popular jewelry making kit is being recalled over safety concerns. Plus, a new study reveals a significant increase in the use of popular type 2 diabetes drugs among type 1 patients, raising concerns about safety. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is recalling over 224,000 Crazy Art jewelry making kits due to unsafe levels of liquid resin. The resin can cause skin, eye, and breathing irritation if touched, inhaled, or ingested. While no injuries have been reported, those with the kits should stop using them and contact LaRose Industries for a refund. Jewelry already made should be checked. If there's any liquid or residue, they say don't wear it and keep it away from kids. Fully cured resin is no longer a risk. Henkel Capital is recalling nearly 1,100 bottles of its Tech Italy shampoo Total for a health-related concern. The Food and Drug Administration says it may be contaminated with bacteria that can cause infections in the eyes, nose, and skin. The threat could be worse for people with weak immune systems. So far, the FDA says there's been no reported injuries. The product was distributed nationally, and consumers are advised to return these bottles to the place of purchase for a full refund. Popular GLP-1 drugs have long been approved to help treat type 2 diabetes, but a new study suggests the use of these drugs has significantly increased among children and adults with the type 1 version of this disease. Researchers say the medicine may not be safe for those with type 1 diabetes. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither talks to the study's senior author about what patients should know.
It's a less common kind of diabetes where the pancreas doesn't make enough insulin. Around 2 million Americans are affected by type 1 diabetes, and while it was once thought of as a thin person disease, that doesn't appear to be the case anymore.
Their obesity rate also may be increasing just as other like a general population.
Because of that, Johns Hopkins researcher Dr. Jung M. Shin says an increasing number of adult and pediatric patients with type 1 diabetes are going on some GLP-1 medications, which right now are only FDA approved for type 2 diabetes and those who have obesity.
That kind of medication can be as effective as for type 1 diabetes population, but we don't have data.
Shin says the concern is that those with type 1 diabetes who depend on daily insulin and use GLP-1 medications at the same time will be at an increased risk of hypoglycemia, dangerously low blood sugar levels, and ketoacidosis, where acidic substances build up in the blood.
We don't know whether this is effective or safe in this population.
Shin and her team's latest research says there could be some health benefits for these drugs in the type 1 diabetes population, but they're calling for clinical trials to further study this and develop clear guidelines for these patients. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The scientists are now following up with a narrower study on type 1 diabetes patients, seeing how much of a risk there is for hypoglycemia when it comes to the use of GLP-1 drugs.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. The alert flag is still up because tonight and Friday, all counties, we have an additional 2 to 3 inches of rain expected, maybe even 4, and some strong winds with these isolated thunderstorms that are still to the south. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. Well, so far so good. We've had over 4 inches of rain officially at the airport and in surrounding areas. We haven't had any big flooding problems. We haven't even seen a big lightning or any hail like that so far, but it's not completely over with just yet. In fact, we're looking at more stuff that is way far south. Now, as you can see, we're up here, but down here in the valley, here's Rio Grande City, McAllen right there. Vicious thunderstorms rolling through that area this afternoon and evening. This is the heaviest stuff that's actually happening right now. But all these little bumps that you see on this side, these are the thunder showers or the unstable air that's also going to be drifting northbound into our region. So I think that after 10 o'clock tonight, we'll see a couple of more thunderstorms roll around. And of course, now with the 4 inches of rain, any additional stuff, it's going to be hard to absorb. So that's why we still have the flood watches up for tonight and for tomorrow. Here is, you can almost see the circulation right about here. That's that spinning low up in the upper atmosphere that's going to be drifting through. And that's the reason why everything is moving that way. So this low will be sort of tracking right over the crossroads overnight and then northeast of us by the time we get to Friday evening. So with a little luck, we'll get more rain because you didn't have enough sunshine in the last few months. I mean, we need the rain. This is good. It's a real blessing, and it'll continue overnight through tomorrow. Now, as you can see on the big picture here, we do shut down this activity right about here. You can see there's no more tapping into the tropical moisture, so that's good. So once this area of low pressure moves away, we'll be doing much better shape. Let's take a look at what's happening with our clouds and radar. Well, you can see we've got some warm air basically in this whole big sector right here. This is the warm air moving northbound with southerly winds. They're getting warm in this area too. This frontal system, usually we get excited about fronts, but this one's not going to have a chance to really do much in terms of coolness, but it will give us some drier air. So once again, we continue with the flood watches all over. That includes everybody, pretty much Jackson County, DeWitt County, Victoria County, Calhoun, all the way up into the Houston area as well. And tomorrow we still have the chance, you see this dark, brighter green, that's where we have probably a 10–20% chance of isolated thunderstorms. Okay, severe thunderstorms. That's the one with thunder and lightning and all that stuff. And that's a possibility tomorrow. And then by Friday evening, a lot of this pulls away, so we'll be in much better shape. So let's take a look at your day planner for tomorrow. Port Lavaca, thunderstorms in the morning, a couple of isolated in the afternoon, but partly cloudy by evening, and you'll get up to about 73. So yeah, it's a stormy day on Friday. Don't underestimate it. But by the end of the day, we do see a definite clearing taking effect. And as we look at our 7-day forecast, well, very interesting how all this works out. I tell you what, we've been in a drought for what, 6 months, almost a year. We had not had a good rain since January, and then all of a sudden it falls in. If we get additional rainfall tomorrow, which we expect, we're going to probably total out of this in 7 or 8 inches in just 2 days. As the weekend rolls around, we get a little bit of clearing, and that's going to get us back up into the 80s, as you see right about there. Dry front comes in on Monday. No real chance of any real significant rainfall, but then we get back to the isolated mid-80s and lots of sun. Amazing. Somebody was lighting a candle or something. I'm convinced. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And we'll toss it back to Shawna.
All right, thank you, Matt. Well, still to come, federal workers are feeling the heat as the layoffs rise and uncertainty clouds the job market.
Get ready for the madness. Think you know college hoops? Prove it. Enter the Final Four Frenzy presented by Coastal Bend College. Put your bracket up against sports director Max Williams and weekend sports reporter Ray Robinson. Dribble on over to crossroadstoday.com to enter on the contest page. Win it all and score a family 4-pack with a hotel stay and a round of golf for 2 at Moody Gardens in Galveston. The Final Four Frenzy presented by Coastal Bend College. Brackets lock soon. Enter now.
It's a losing day on Wall Street in Thursday trading. The Dow dropped 155 points. The S&P 500 lost 19 points, while the Nasdaq shed 95 points. Oil is up 26 cents to $69.92 per barrel. Federal layoffs are surging under President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, leading to a spike in job applications from affected agencies. Uncertainty around Trump's economic agenda may be slowing hiring, with one expert calling the job market a little frozen but stable. More federal workers are filing for unemployment, though claims are not rising week to week. Overall, 224,000 jobless claims were filed last week, 1,000 fewer than the week before. The Department of Health and Human Services is cutting 10,000 full-time employees across health agencies. That's on top of 10,000 workers who left voluntarily. HHS says the new cuts will save the department $1.8 billion per year. The cuts are part of a dramatic restructuring at HHS. The overhaul also includes consolidating 28 divisions into 15 divisions. Well, stay with us. Still to come, a pair bear the brunt of a beloved bear statue theft. Plus, superstitious superfans want a baseball curse relocated.
Coming up, states of emergency as hundreds flee ahead of out-of-control wildfires on the East Coast. The massive new job cuts by RFK Jr. at America's health agencies, and King Charles sent to the hospital, what the palace is saying tonight. Next.
Well, a pair of bumbling bandits are shamed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, for their drunken theft of a beloved Paddington bear statue. Here's Jeremy Roth with Take a Look at This.
A beloved bear statue is back where it belongs after a late-night drunken encounter saw it ripped from a bench in Britain. A judge admonished two members of the British Royal Air Force who were caught on camera in a bumbling attempt to steal a statue of Paddington Bear that resulted in the fictional figure ripped in half and taken away. Paddington is a national icon of sorts in England, a beloved character of page and screen whose movies are so popular one of them holds a near-perfect 99% positive score on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not making that up. The statue was safely recovered and the bear bandits, who were reportedly drunk during the debacle, I'd never have guessed, were arrested and later sentenced to community service. According to the New York Times, a judge told them their actions, which their lawyer said they do regret, represents, quote, the antithesis of everything Paddington stands for. Another influential inanimate object, this one a crusty old baseball, sullen Chicago White Sox fans think may be responsible for a historically bad season. The team claimed a heinous 121 losses last year, earning them the nickname the Stinky Sox, a phrase coined by Well, me right now. But Sox diehards say the losses started around the time this World Series baseball from 1919, found hidden in Chicago's Tribune building, was moved to a sports museum. An outcry from fans, both superstitious and or even a little stitious, resulted in the ball being moved back to the Tribune building in an attempt to break the so-called curse and clear the way for high scores galore. Yeah, that ought to do it. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We'll have to watch how their season goes.
I'm convinced it was the ball.
Yeah.
You got to break that spell somehow. Anyway, for us, we broke the drought. Can you believe it?
The dry spell.
It just completely changed our fortunes, and now we're looking really good for as we head on into the early summer months. The storms are not over with. There's more down south, and they're rolling in here overnight and into tomorrow morning, and then in the afternoon with a little heating will trigger off more isolated thunder showers around the crossroads. Now, by Friday night, it does pull out of here, and we're looking for better weather for the weekend. Maybe a little muddy, a little soggy, but that's okay. We've had plenty of dry, hot weekends in the past year that we can manage with, okay?
All right, so we've seen about 4 to 5 inches, kind of depending on where
you're standing.
Everyone's located. How much more rain are we expecting tonight?
I would say probably in excess of 2.
So still quite a bit more.
If you get the downpour on your house, you'll get easily over 2 inches, because these are big, heavy, wet, tropical kind of nature storms that we haven't had any lightning and we haven't had any hail, and that's because we have no cold air above. So that's okay. I'm not complaining.
All right. Well, we leave you with a look at the students from Faith Family Church Homeschool. About 15 students stopped by for a field trip, and a few mentioned that they plan to pursue journalism as a career. I encourage them. Thank you, students, for visiting. Our next newscast is in 30 minutes, right after World News Now with David Muir.